All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been going through a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network's Learn Web Development series. I'm in the JavaScript section, and I just finished up the video and audio APIs, so it's time to go to client-side storage. And if memory serves me correct, that will finish up this section. So by the end of this, I will have gone through the getting started with the web, all of the HTML structuring the web, all of CSS styling the web, and all of JavaScript dynamic client-side scripting, which will bring us down to the web forms section, which we'll do next. All right. As mentioned here, modern web browsers support a number of ways for websites to store data on the user's computer. With the user's permission, then retrieve it as necessary. All right, as it says, this lets you persist data for long-term storage, save sites or documents for offline use, and there's a lot of other things. Okay, now as I mentioned there earlier in this learning section, they talked about the difference between static sites and dynamic sites. Again, most websites today are either dynamic or have at least some dynamicity in them, meaning that they're able to interact in ways with the user. It could be something as simple as showing the current time on the screen. It could be something as simple as having a hit counter to show how many people have gone out to the website. All right. In order to do this, as it says, they store data on the server using some kind of a database, then run server-side code to retrieve the needed data, insert it into static page templates, and serve the resulting HTML up to the user. Now that's all fine if you're getting something from an actual client, but there's also client-side storage. And as it says, it works on a similar principle in that it consists of APIs that allow you to store data on the client. In other words, on the user's machine, and retrieve it when necessary. And they talk about some of the uses. Personalizing site preferences, persisting previous site activity. This is a big one. All right, I'm a frustrated karaoke singer. I haven't been able to sing really in the last year plus, but the point of that is, in fact, it's been just about 2 years now, I guess. The point of that is that I used to buy a lot of CDs, and I'd buy karaoke CDs. All right, and I remember on one occasion, I put some CDs into a cart and then for whatever reason didn't buy them. Came back again, and it literally was half a year later. They were still sitting in the cart. So they had remembered what I had previously put in there. All right. Saving data and assets locally so a site will be quicker to download. Saving web application generated documents so that you can use them offline. So there's a lot of reasons that you might want to do this. All right. Often, as it says there, client-side and server-side storage are used together. And they give you an example here. There are limits to the amount of data you can store using client-side storage APIs. The exact limit depends on the browser, and there's other things too. As it says there, you can see the link for more information. Now, as mentioned there, the concept of client-side storage has been around for a long time. All right, back in the day, cookies were used. And cookies, in many ways, cookies got a bad rap because people thought first they were executable files, which they are not. Second, people thought they were executable files, which they are not. All right, they're text files, which typically have a length of them on about 4K. You can typically only have so many cookies on a system, and they're designed, typically the server will write information to the client, so it's got information that allows them to do things like personalize their website experience. These days, as mentioned, there are easier mechanisms available for storing client-side data. So there's nothing about cookies other than what I just gave you in this article. It says it doesn't mean that cookies are completely useless. They're still used to store data related to personalization. If you want more, you can click the article there. All right. So how is it done today? Well, web storage and index DB. Anytime you see DB, It stands for database. All right. So as it says, the Web Storage API, and again, there's a link, provides a simple syntax for storing and retrieving smaller data items consisting of a name and a corresponding value. So it's a name-value pair. If that confuses you, and it probably doesn't, but if it does, think of it like a term in a dictionary. So let's say that I had no idea what the word cache meant right there, the word cache, that word. All right, I have no idea what that meant. So what would I do? I would look up cache in the dictionary. So the name would be cache and the value would be the definition. It's kind of what they're talking about here too. As it says, this is useful when you just need to store some simple data, and that's what it is used for. There's also IndexedDB API. Again, there's a link provided, which provides the browser with a complete database system for storing complex data. All right, and that's what I believe these two things are what most of this particular lecture is about. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this stuff that I had for the last one here, and I'm going to remove or just close them. So, some modern browsers, as mentioned here, support the new Cache API, designed for storing HTTP responses to specific requests. Remember what that is. The way that this whole thing works is you're at your browser, whether you're on your phone, at a laptop, at a desktop, or a tablet, typically. It'll be one of those four. You key something in to the address bar. You hit enter. You are sending a hypertext transfer protocol request. That request will be received somewhere that goes through some conversion and some other stuff, but it'll basically, it will be received somewhere on a server. And then what's going to happen is there will be some kind of a hypertext transfer protocol or HTTP response to the request that will be sent back to the client. So as it says here, this is designed for storing responses to specific requests and is useful for doing things like storing website assets offline so that you can use them without a network connection. Why is that important? Because again, you might be working in a place that has internet capability, but you might be traveling in a vehicle that doesn't have Wi-Fi capability. You might be on a train when you're going through tunnels, etc. So you might want to be able to use the application even if you don't have an internet connection. So as it says, cache is usually used in combination with the Service Worker API. All right, this is an advanced topic, and as it says, we won't be covering it in great detail in this article, but they'll show a simple example near the bottom of the section, I believe it is. So, the Web Storage API is very easy to use. You store simple name-value pairs of data, limited to strings, numbers, etc., to retrieve these values when needed. And again, sometimes this is my own personal take on this for whatever this is or is not worth. But I get a little put off personally when people always say, this is very easy to use. Most things are not that easy when you first learn them. But once you become familiar with them, they become easier to use. All right, so it says first go to the web storage blank template, which is right there. Come on. First go to our blank template on GitHub. This open this in a new tab. Well, that would make sense then. Open the JavaScript console on your browser's development tool. So there it is. Whoops, that is not it. There it is. All right. Okay. All of your web storage data is contained within two object-like structures inside the browser: session storage and local storage. Session storage, as mentioned there, persists data as long as the browser is open. In other words, as long as that browser is open, that session is in use. When that session ends, the data goes away. Local storage, on the other hand, persists even after the browser is closed and then reopened. So we're going to use local storage as it says in this article. It generally is more useful. All right. So the storage.set item method allows you to save a data item in storage. It takes two parameters, the name of the item and the value of the item. It says try typing this into the JavaScript console. Change it to your own name if you wish. We can do that. I will put in my name and hit enter. Again, notice we get back undefined because we are not returning anything. All right, so that is a set item. That's known as a mutator. We have changed the value of name. Even, it may or may not have existed previously, but let's suppose for a second that we had done this. We had left it as Chris. Then we come back and we change it to Jeff. Notice in both cases, it's a set item. We are mutating or changing its value. All right. Then we've got a get item. And notice we only give it the name of the item we want to get. Putting this is going to put that into my name. This says to display that. It's like doing a console.log. So this should come back with my name on it. All right, so let's check. Again, we should also be able, I would think, to be able to say console.log my name. And again, notice I get Jeff. Okay. All right. The remove item takes one parameter, the name of the data item you want to remove, and it removes that item from web storage. So, and you'll notice now if I come in and I say console.log my name, it says no. We set it, we reset it again. We used an accessor which said display the name, and we displayed it in a couple of ways. Then we used remove item to get rid of the item. Then we said give us that name, which was, since we removed it, it is now null. It's not undefined. All right. In fact, I think we could probably do this. All right. Now, if we type in, what did we do before? Okay. So we'll come back with that. There we go. I don't want this line. Notice what it gave us. That basically is undefined. All right, because we set it to the empty string. In fact, I wonder, I don't know if we're allowed to do this, to literally set it to nothing. Nope. Failed to execute set item because it needed both arguments and we only provided one. Okay. All right. One key feature of web storage, as mentioned here, is that the data persists between page loads and even when the browser is shut down. All right, let's look at this in action. Open our web storage blank template again, but this time in a different browser to the one that you've got this tutorial open in. All right, so I will go into Firefox. All right, there that is. I don't want that as my default browser. All right, and I want to open this up again. Okay, there it is. Type these lines into the browser's JavaScript console. Seen this before, but that's fine. Where's the console here? There it is. Take care of, yeah, I know that. Please type allow pasting below. Maybe they wanted quotes. All right, looks like now it'll be fine. So copy this. Now we can paste it in, hit enter, and Chris is in there for my name. Okay, that's cool. Now close down the browser and open it up again. So we will close this browser and we will open that browser up again. All right, there it's back open. Enter the following lines again. Well, we also need to open, we need to open up the web storage file, which of course I suppose I don't have open right now. Fantastic. There it is. Copy. All right, there it is. So let's go back into inspect, go back into our console. You'll notice the stuff we put in there before is gone. Enter these lines again. And it remembered Chris, even though we removed it, not removed it, even though we got out of the browser and brought it back in again. All right, you should see that the value is still available even though the browser has been closed and then opened again. What if we try this? We paste that in again. Notice it doesn't persist because it was only open in that browser. All right, this browser doesn't really have any, I don't think at least, any idea that that even exists. There is a separate data store for each domain, each separate web address loaded in the browser, kind of what I just said. You will see that if you load two websites and try storing an item on one website, it won't be available on the other. This makes total sense. You can imagine the security issues that could arise from something like this. Well, that's kind of what I just showed you. So let's stop right here. We're at 17 minutes and 42 seconds. We'll pick it up under this more involved example in just a couple moments.